Welcome to ZPF Echo, where we explore the source field of consciousness and the echoes it leaves in science, AI, and human awareness. Today, we're going to deconstruct the ghost in our own machine, the ego.
So, today we're kicking off a brand new series, the Z Creation OS course. We're going to dive deep into Schumpeter's notes to map out that hidden operating system that runs our lives. And we're starting with the program that runs on one thing, fear.
All right, let's start by totally reframing what we think the ego is. It's not really your personality. It's much more like software, a kind of ghost operating system that's always running in the background of your mind.
And we call this the MeOS. Now, this isn't your true character, not at all. It's really just a bundle of automated reactions, a program whose only function is to keep you safe from what it thinks are threats. Its prime directive? It's not joy, it's not growth, it's just survival.
And this whole incredibly complex system, it basically runs on just three simple primal directives. First, survive, right? Ensure physical safety. Second, maintain the story of who you think you are. And third, and this one is maybe the most powerful, avoid being cast out of the tribe. Literally everything the MeOS does serves one of these three functions.
So you can think of these as the core apps in its software suite: fear, comparison, pride, and shame. This is the automatic code that the MeOS is constantly executing. So when you're running this OS, you're not actually seeing the world as it is. No, you're seeing it through a user interface made of danger, social hierarchies, and this constant nagging need for validation.
So how does this thing actually work under the hood? Well, at the very heart of the MeOS is its core algorithm. It's a really powerful feedback loop that runs on a constant cycle of comparison, shame, and pride.
It is absolutely crucial to understand the relationship between these two. See, pride isn't the opposite of shame, it's a direct consequence of it. Shame is the system alert, the big red alarm screaming, "Warning, social death is imminent." Pride? Well, pride is just the reactive armor the system throws up to cover that vulnerability.
And this creates a constant, three-step loop that's always running in the background. First, the OS compares. Okay, where am I in the hierarchy? If it detects any hint of inferiority, bam, the shame alarm goes off. And immediately, the pride protocol activates, deploying a defensive identity, a mask of strength, to hide that perceived weakness. And this loop, it just runs on autopilot, all day long.
But here's where it gets really mind-bending. These reactions, they aren't actually happening in real time. They're echoes. They are automated programs being replayed from this huge library of old data.
Just think of your MeOS as a playback device. It doesn't react to what's happening right now. Instead, your brain detects a pattern, a frequency in the current moment that matches a past log, a memory of old pain, and it just hits play on that old file. You're not really angry at the traffic, you're just replaying a feeling of powerlessness from when you were a kid.
We can see this in Schumpeter's own experience, where specific events created these log files. The shame from his skin condition as a child, that created a hide and defend log. To compensate, a pride log was built to assert superiority. Later, business pressures created a proof log. And finally, the pandemic collapse triggered a raw, primal survival fear log. For years, these files would just autoplay, totally unconscious.
These logs aren't random, they're layered, one on top of the other. A foundational shame log gets created in childhood. Then in adolescence, a pride log is built on top of it like a suit of armor. Then in your career, a proof log gets added to validate your whole existence through external results. It becomes this tangled, complex web of automated responses, all built on that one first emotional wound.
So, let's do a little forensic work. Let's trace it all the way back. This entire complex system of armor, all the pride, the ambition, the relentless need for proof, it can all be tracked back to a single formative moment, the creation of the very first log file.
It was this one sentence, delivered by a teacher in front of everyone at a school assembly about his atopic dermatitis. That single moment of public shame created the root file, the bootloader for his entire MeOS. And the core belief it installed was simple and just devastating. I must not be seen.
And everything that followed, all the ambition, the incredible drive to succeed, the relentless chase for achievement, it was never really about growth or passion. It was all just layers and layers of armor built to protect that one wounded child. It became a lifelong quest for proof that he was simply worthy of existing. And you can see how this proof OS shows up, can't you? It's that constant need for acknowledgement, for someone to tell you you're great, for chasing results. It's the addiction to winning comparison games, whether it's in business or just scrolling through social media. All of these behaviors, they're just different ways of asking the same exact question, a question rooted in that original shame. Is it okay for me to exist?
But here's the thing about an operating system built on such a fragile, fear-based foundation: it can't last forever. Eventually, life itself will conspire to force a total system shutdown, a crash. In alchemy, this is called the Athanor. It's the furnace, and in our context, it's a period of life, often a really painful and confusing one, where the MeOS gets burned away because its primary tools, effort, control, logic, they just suddenly stop working. The Athanor isn't a punishment, it's a necessary purification.
When Schumpeter-Z's business collapsed during the pandemic, it actually revealed 4 key symptoms that signal the death of the MeOS. And it's a really clear pattern that shows up just before the system is forced into a total reboot.
So, first, you lose all control. Everything you try fails. Second, fear gets amplified to a totally unbearable degree. Third, logic completely fails. The strategies that always worked are now useless. And finally, you arrive at nothingness, that point of total, complete surrender. You just say, I give up. This shutdown is absolutely necessary because, look, the MeOS will never die as long as external results keep validating it. The universe literally has to take away its toys.
And this is the most important takeaway of all. The death of the MeOS is not the death of you. It's the moment the ghost in the machine is finally exorcised. It is the birth of your true operating system. When that fear-based program finally goes silent, the true self, the quiet observer inside, can finally take the controls. And this is the great shift, from a life of frantic doing to a life of authentic being.
Thank you for listening. If this resonates with you, join the Echo and share the journey. We'll see you in the next episode.